Good evening, YouTube family. Tio here, Simplistic Fishing. Hey, tonight we're going to finish up Benbrook Lake. We're going to go switch over to the Navionics side. We're going to look at the contour lines, different points, things like that. All the types of things that should be able to put you guys on some more fish. And I just wanted to give you a quick update before we jump into this video. I am actually working with Square to create a shop basically so you guys can get all of these Google waypoints to get the card to just put it basically directly into your finder. So I'm working on that, but for right now, remember on those Google waypoint videos and things that we put out there, those links to those waypoints are in the video description. So just look in the video description, it'll give you the KML or the KMZ file, whichever one you want, and then you can convert that to your graphs. I know that converting process can be a little bit challenging, and so in order to help the channel and to obviously help you guys, we'll be able to build those cards for you for Garmin, Humminbird, or Lawrence, and then just mail them off to you. So hope to have that store up here pretty soon. I should have my seller's permit here in about 2 weeks, and we can start offering those to you guys. So in the meantime, let's keep breaking down these lakes. Today, again, is Benbrook Lake. Let's get started. All right, here we go. Let's go up to the northern side right here for Benbrook Lake. Let's just start up here on the dam, and then we'll work our way down and back up to the dam. So the first part I want to talk about, we talked about this on the Google Earth waypoints, but there are some rocks right in here, right around this drop off. So take a look in this area when you go up here, and there's also a little point that's not showing on here either that came out a little bit of ways and back in here. So take a look at that area. It looked like there was some pretty big rock in that area from the Google Earth waypoints. And being that it's down here by the dam and it's got some pretty good depth to it, that is definitely going to be a good hotspot to look at. A couple other things that really come to my attention when we're looking at this bank line is really the major drops that you see on these bank lines. This one here looks pretty sharp. It's actually got a dock underneath it. So if I were to fish in this area, I would definitely look right here where it goes in, where this little bend is. Look in there, look in that area, look around this dock, and then kind of moving on up here. If you look right in this area, I'm not sure what's going on, and we'll see this throughout the lake, but you'll see where it has some flats and then a drop. But there's just certain areas in the lake where you have an immediate drop right by the bank. And any of those areas are usually good areas. It's usually a creek channel running up against it or something that's causing that big break. So I would say in this area too, maybe a good area just to check out. At least go by and scan it and see if you see anything there. All right, so moving on up, not seeing too much going on from a contour perspective throughout that cove. We move on down here. We got some interesting kind of pits and little humps and things that are out in the lake, but they're all in really, really deep water. So probably wouldn't pay too much attention to that. But if we're zoomed in here, this actually doesn't look like much. I mean, it looks like just a bunch of squiggly lines really, unless you knew what you're looking at. But this actually looks like a really good underwater point. It's got a nice flat on it. If you look here, it stays right around 6 to 9 feet, maybe 10 feet. So it's fairly flat. I mean, it has a little bit of a slope, so a real gradual slope. But if I zoom this back, you can see it's pretty sharp. So if you get out here on the edges, you got some really good, nice breaks. So if I were out here fishing, I would definitely look in these little curves. So look here, look on the outside of this point, and really even on top of the point, depending on the time of year. And then on this side over here as well. So this could be a really good area to take a look at. I would definitely do some scanning in that area to take a look and see what you find. So then moving on down, interesting little point here. May hit it, scan by it, but I probably wouldn't spend too much time on it. Nice little underwater flat going on right here. It's about 10 foot. So you got a big, huge 10-foot flat with some major breaks off the side of it. Again, if I'm scanning in here, I'm probably going to go up here, scan off the very edge of it, and then anywhere these little saddles or where where this little indention is right here, I would definitely want to scan in that area. There's probably something that's setting up well for them to ambush bait, things like that. So then moving on down here, don't see too much in here. Some really deep holes again, some humps, things like that. We showed a lot of things on the previous video, so make sure you take a look at that. We broke down basically everything that we could from a shallow perspective, and there's a lot of good points in there. Probably going to get a lot more there than the deep perspective here, because I'm just not seeing that much from a contour perspective, but there is some good stuff coming up, so stay tuned. All right, so moving on down here, I do like this area right here. It really sticks out to me. One, you've got some kind of old pond or something that's a big ditch or a big depression here. And it comes right up against the bank line. So you can see a real sharp break against that bank line. So basically I'd start fishing about right in here, and I'd probably stop somewhere around in here. Or actually, since it's a point, I might just move my way on. But anyways, definitely take a look in that area right there where you see the big crosshair. And then as we're moving on here, you do have some interesting breaks here. So if you scan here and found some fish, it might not hurt to come out here and really just scan that area, that little indentation that's right there. All right, so I'm going to move on up. Again, we have those interesting things. They're way out there. I'm not sure be too much attraction to it, but those two areas would be the best. Moving on down here, you do have some good breaks against the banks, some pretty steep banks that you could definitely fish for sure. An interesting little point here. This one comes out pretty far, 3 foot, 5 foot way out here in the water. And then it starts to break off pretty good. So I would definitely take a look in this area just to see if there's anything hanging around this point. I like how it sets up before it gets back in here to these major pockets. So it could be a good area to take a look at. Then we're going to move on around that point. Again, another one of those indentions that we talked about. Come here and then you got this major indention with major breaks, somewhere right in here. So take a look at that area right there. That could be a good spot for them to set up on. Then I'm going to keep on moving down here. I don't see too much going on in regards to the contour lines in here. Got some deep pockets. I did like this little spot back here. I don't know if it's an old pond or what it is, but I love how you got the shallow water here and then some really deep water for them to hang out in, but yet they can still get up here and chase bait, pin them out, all that good stuff. So I would definitely take a look in this area. This looks really good. This little pocket here looks good as well. And we're going to see that there's a couple pockets coming up. We'll see where there's some more of these things that look pretty interesting. I would definitely go check them out. So moving on down the bank line here, not seeing too much. This is the area I was telling you about, those big pockets that are back here. If we go on through here, pretty shallow water. You're getting in 4 foot, 3 foot of water, but then all of a sudden you get back here and you got a big deep pocket of 14 foot. So these could be really great areas to hone in on, especially as we get later into the season. Another one here, and you got another one back in here, and I'd imagine this just continues as you get back in here into this creek. But at least from what I can see from the Navionics side, these would all be hot spots that I would want to take a look at. All right, so I'm going to pull on back here and just kind of go down the rest of this map. You do have, again, a really good area here. Looks like an old creek or some kind of rock crater or something like that, but some really good breaks right in that area of that bank line. So good area to take a look at. I think even when we talked about this on Google Earth, there was a lot of scattered rock, like some really big rock that was around this whole entire bank line. And so that must be what they mean by Rock Creek, because there were tons of huge like chunk rocks. But I love if that chunk rock's there and you have that break, that could be really juicy. All right, so I'm going to move on. We're going to go around this point. We've got a nice little shallow flat that comes off this point. Not sure there's too much there to concentrate on, but definitely could be a good area to look at. And then if we move back in here, I didn't see too much going on back in here. This dock has some pretty good depth on the left side of it. If you get your boat out the back side of this and fish back in here, that could be a pretty good area. And then obviously you'd want to fish around this front side because you got some really good breaks going on right here. Some really good depth and massive breaks coming off the edge of this. And there's probably riprap or something right here too. So this would be a really good area to focus in on. We're going to move on up just a normal bank line. As you're doing this, if you get to fish this lake a lot, I'd be interested to see what in the world these things are, because you just got these really sharp breaks that come right up against the bank line. And notice how there's no flat area at all. And you're going to see this as we go up Navionics. You'll see this throughout the bank line. And if that really is something that's different along that bank line, so you have this whole bank line where it's just flat and then has a little gradual break off, but then you hit these little spots where it's a lot deeper. And I don't know if this could be a culvert or something like that. I just can't tell. These could be prime hot spots to set up on, to look at. So take a look at that if you're out there on the lake and just see what those are. And if those really are different, like it's showing here, I would definitely scan them and look at them. You got a little gradual point right here. Moving on, just some places where it gets really close to the bank. You have some really good drops. Right here looks interesting. It's that thing again, kind of we were talking about. shallow, 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 and then boom, it's just a big drop right there, and then back to shallow here. So this is some kind of a ditch or something. So I would take a look at this area right here. Moving on up, we got a couple more points to look at. Always fish all the points if you can. Here's another one of those areas I was talking about. I don't know what these are because obviously never been to this lake, but I would definitely look and see if you can get on a pattern there. That could be a great pattern just to run those things if it ends up being a good place to look at. I'm going to move on up here. This dock looks really interesting because you've got some really good depth along this bank line. Again, that thing we were talking about where it looks like there's no bank, it's just straight drop off. But look, this dock is in like 35 feet of water. So this could be a great place, depending on the pillars that are on that dock. If those are wooden pillars or just big old round pillars because of the depth, that could be a great place for the bass to set up on. So take a look at that dock and take a look at that whole area, not just out here in 35 foot of water, but get back in here too and see what's going on here. Another one of those things there. Another one right in here. I mean, they're all over the place. This looked pretty interesting here. You got obviously really, really good depth all along this whole entire bank line. But right here, you've got a massive hole, 57, and then up here you got 67. Not sure I'd be going out and fishing in 60 foot of water, but it looks like there's some sort of a pinch point somewhere in here, and I can't even scroll in anymore. I'd show you guys, but just look in here and see if there's any type of a ditch or depression or something that's right on the edge right in here. Just check it out. Same thing up here. This would probably be your hot spot, would be right in here. See how it all kind of funnels that way? It's right where that fish is. So take a look at those. Definitely deeper water, but take a look. Could be a great place to go in the summertime. Another one of those little depressions right here. These things are interesting. And then this point is real interesting. You know, you've got your kind of point that's out here, and then it comes in really sharp on the bank line right here. I would take a look at this whole area. All right, moving on down, not too much going on there. Not sure why there's a fish there, maybe a brush pile, something like that. I don't see anything from a contour perspective that really makes that stick out other than you got that little bitty point that really sticks out there, but something's there. Take a look at that and see what's going on. Next spot I wanted to show you guys was really this. This is a really nice point that goes way out here. It's nice and flat. Come fall time, this would be a prime spot to take a look at. I would look and see if there's anything feeding up on top of this flat. You got a nice big long flat that goes way out into the deep water, and you got deep water on both sides. This could definitely be a good area to focus in on. And if I scroll back, I just want to show you guys this. You can really see what I'm talking about. I mean, when I'm scrolled in, it's hard to tell, but if I scroll back, you can see, hey, there's deep water left side, right side, left side, and the top's, you know, looking pretty good, just being pretty flat. So moving on down this bank line, just some pretty deep areas, not too much going on. Right here looks pretty interesting. So maybe from this corner over to here, take a look at these breaks, see if there's anything going on there. Same thing right in here. Look at this area here. This looks like it could be a good hot spot. And then not much going on there. Some interesting breaks there, but probably nothing I'd spend too much time on. Big old like underwater flat here that goes way out. I don't know. I would maybe scan over those green things, just see if there's anything there, but I wouldn't waste too much time in that area. And we're getting really back up to the dam where it gets really deep again. So you just got some really sharp breaks. And again, if it were me, I'd be checking out these little areas right in here to see what this is. That could just be shallow rock, maybe, that's going into really, really deep water. So check out those areas and see what you can find there. And if you do, hey, leave me a comment below. Let me know. Let me know if those are any good or if they're even helping you guys out. And I believe, guys, that really covers us for the Benbrook Lake. Next up is Lake Bob Sandlin. So I'll be working on those tonight, maybe even get them published out on Saturday or Sunday. So really appreciate everybody's support for the channel. We're growing like crazy. Can't thank you enough. And hey, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We'll look forward to talking to you soon. Tight lines.